Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to guide you through how you can paint this amazing gnomology star gnome Aquarius. So this is for our wonderful water bearers out there, our little water bearing gnomes out there in the world. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He is not an Aquarius, but he supports you.
Yes.
And what's that?
That's my screen.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I was like, woo! That just went right. I was like, I don't know what that is, but that was very interesting. So this is going to be a fully guided art lesson. If you haven't ever seen me before, it's my whole goal to teach you how to paint. I teach beginners all over the world. We have a lot of resources. If you check the description below, besides a list of the materials, you're going to also see that you have a link to the website where traceable is. Now, we are going to be doing a step-by-step and a chapter mark like we've been doing with our acrylic lessons lately. However, the mini book will be ready about 7 to 10 days after this lesson. So you can always come back and check that. Yes, this will be a regular thing. So for those of you that were excited about that, we're going to do that. Now, if you want to learn how to paint, be sure you hit the subscribe button, because that's what I do. If you come in and you regularly check in and you paint along, all the lessons are free. And if you paint along, you're going to learn how to paint. It is our real purpose in life, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And today, this is exciting because this is a very beginner-friendly lesson. But, you know, what does beginner-friendly mean? Beginner-friendly means that I'm going to explain the concepts very thoroughly. These will be first concepts in painting. But that doesn't mean that if you've never, ever painted before, that it won't be like kind of interesting and new and unfamiliar and challenging. Now, if that's true, I have a playlist about where to start painting. And honestly, there's a lot of things that happen to beginners that you couldn't predict or know unless somebody said, oh, hey, this is a thing you don't know about a brush, because there's weird things about a brush. So if you haven't painted since grade school, I hope my mods will drop that where to start playlist in here so you can bookmark that. And there's just a couple videos in there that will make your life so much better. Take about 6 months off your painting journey. And who doesn't want to get 6 months of their life back? Mm-hmm. I know Aquarius does, because they respect freedom. Gnomes around the Aquarius star really like to be free gnomes. Yes. They're free gnomes, they're intellectual gnomes, and they're community gnomes. So they have not been enjoying being distanced from the other gnomes. It's not been their favorite time. So they're ready for this to be coming together. And since they're technology based, at least they handled the Zoom meeting. You guys were probably in charge of the Zoom meeting, right? All the Aquariuses, raise your hand if you had to run all the tech for everybody during lockdown. All right, now we're going to put this to the side. We're going to talk about our materials, very basic, normal materials. We have a 9x12 stretch canvas. You could do this on paper. You could do this on canvas board. Any of that's fine, but we're going to be demoing this on a canvas. This is 9x12, and we have a wish intention on it this month to bring healing, hope, and unity to all gnomes everywhere in all gnomey villages.
Yes.
Night gnomes, morning gnomes, all the gnomes. We have acrylic paint over here. I know you guys are going to ask. This is a wet palette, a stay wet palette. There is a link in the description. My mods have links as well. This is Dioxazine Purple. This is Quinacridone Magenta. This is Phthalo Green. This is Phthalo Blue. This is Cad Yellow Medium, Cad Red Medium, Burnt Sienna, Mars Black, and Titanium White. So that is the colors that we're going to be using. But you could use, there's not a lot of complex color mixing on this one. So if you didn't have my exact color palette, it won't really throw off your painting that much. So I highly suggest that you paint along and don't worry about that stuff, because what do we need to not do right now? Mm-hmm. Stress. We don't need to stress, right? Probably taking up painting to be relaxed and enjoy yourself.
Robbie would like to know, how do you manage to always look so radiant?
I do look radiant.
You just look radiant.
I think it's Too-Faced makeup, to be real honest. I think Too-Faced makeup is very helpful.
I think it's there's a
and
natural
a love
cinnamon.
Of teaching in my heart, which comes up and glows out of me, but I do think mostly it's Too-Faced makeup.
I think there's a combination of the natural cinnamon powered by coffee.
You're right. I'm undercrediting coffee for my vivacious glow. I'm undercrediting coffee. It's true.
No, there's you. There's 2 parts you and coffee
that go together. I'm gonna take a fluffy brush and kind of take some water and just wipe my words into the canvas just real quick. And if you're ready with a step 1,
I am.
All right. And it's okay if you want to get your canvas just a titch damp, especially if you're in very dry conditions where you are.
So, getting your surface wet is going to be part of
Step one.
Aquarius star gnome.
The star gnome.
Is that his name correct?
Well, no, all gnomes they're all star gnomes.
All star gnomes.
This gnome needs a name. All the gnomes are going to need a name. I don't want to name this stuff because I like my community to name things. Because these paintings also belong to you. So throw your suggestions for this star gnome's name in the comments, in the chat. Let us know what you think. And if we get one that kind of runs away and is popular, it will become his official name for the mini book.
Ooh.
So we're going to do an interesting sky. We're going to do kind of a gradated sky. And one of my tricks for doing that, I'm going to just get some water on this brush. This is a 1-inch mop from Royal & Langnickel. I got it at Joann's. I'm just going to add a little bit of white paint kind of coming up my canvas.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't the same as like the liquid white that Bob Ross used, but there is some similar thinking to it, which is it's real easy for things to get too dark for you guys when you're new, and it's also easy for your canvas to dry out too fast. So if you do this early, I'm going to get a little pink on here. This is Quinacridone Magenta. When you come in and you do this with a little bit of white, look how easy it is to have a nice pink background coming in on the bottom of your canvas, and it's going to blend over there real nicely. Now, it wasn't super wet, the paint I put on, but it was wet enough so that the paint coming on blends in beautifully. And you do want it to blend in beautifully, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I think you do. Take it to about right there. Nice little bit. Now I'm going to rinse out.
Yes.
And these mop brushes can get a little bit wet, so I'm going to dry it out. Right? I'm going to dry it out. There it is. Look at it. There you go. I'm ready to paint the top.
It looks all gnome gone rogue.
It does look a little gnome gone rogue. Now at the top, I'm going to do more with a pure phthalo blue, and we're going to come in from the top and just brush down. But again, the slightly damp white canvas, slightly damp, slightly, because if you get it too damp, it's just going to run down. Just bringing that down here. Now, as I come to the middle, I may come in and get some of the white just to help make a nice transitional. Acrylic paint, watch me wipe off, blends best when it goes from one wet area to another wet area. So when you come in with a soft, fluffy brush, I'm light pressure. I'm not pressing hard on the canvas.
Ooh.
Right? Not pressing hard on the canvas.
It's super blendy.
It's super blendy. Now, if I come in, I'll show you a trick. If I have a second brush, any brush that's dry. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
It's so
I'm going to
nice.
come over here and zoom in on this.
That helps with a dry brush. So that's how you get kind of that beautiful little soft ombre.
I'm looking real close at this real quick. Is that really?
Doesn't it? Just diffuses it. So no, acrylic doesn't blend in the same ways that oil does, but that does not mean, and I can dust a little of the stuff through here, that we can't get beautiful, soft, transitional effects even as new painters with acrylic. So the trick of that was to paint all of that with a bit of white, right? Come back while everything was still not dry yet with a little bit of pink and white up to the middle, rinse out, come down with the blue, blend them together while they're still wet, and then soften that blend with a dry, fluffy brush. That's how you do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be my exact brushes, guys. It can be like, I could use a dry, the fans that they give you that are no use for anything at all? They're useful for that.
Interesting.
The ones that go 4 fingers of death the minute you get them wet are fantastic blenders. So if you get one in a set and you're like, man, I got this thing on Amazon. It came with these 25 brushes and this one fan won't do a thing for me. Save it for the blending. Never throw out any of your brushes. They always have a use. Always. Even the parts of them have uses when they fall apart. I got bags of brush parts over to the side because they'll have a purpose.
They're useful.
They're useful.
Like gnomes without hats.
Like gnomes without hats are useful. Now, my friends, I need to dry this so that I can do the next step, which is going to be step 2. Can you believe we're already on to step 2?
No, we're so
it's
fast.
As if it was written in the stars.
It's almost like it was.
It's almost like it was written in the stars.
All right, so you're going to...
Yes.
All right. I'll find the buttons. So, while she's doing that, I'm going to say thank you guys for joining us. We love your Gnome presence with us. If you don't know, surfaces don't like heat, so you shouldn't use heat when you're doing this. Make sure you just use regular air. Make sure you check the subscribe button down below so you can get all the Gnome messages on what we have going on here. And if you haven't heard the word, there you go. If you want to get text notifications, you send the message TheArtSherpa to 33222 and you can get notified.
Notified. All right,
Notified.
Take a picture of that.
Are you ready?
I'm
for
ready.
Step 2?
So, if you are an Aquarinome, chances are that you really value freedom and you have a little tendency to kind of take a project your own way. And I want you to know if you've done that, if you've made this gnome your own, you're certainly welcome to take that, bring that in and share that in the group, my official group, the Art Sherpa Official on Facebook. And remember, our Aquarinomes might have a lot of half-finished projects around. But don't worry about that. You guys will find your way through. I don't know. I wrote up a bunch of stuff. I don't do this for a living, but I did a bunch of research, so come with me. I really did do a bunch of research.
You did? I know.
I did. So much research.
You know,
I usually get my chart read.
It's interesting because Aquarius is an air sign, right?
Yes, it is.
But it's actually a water bearer.
Yeah, but you know why it's a water bearer?
I do.
It's not a water bear, which is a really cool tardigrade, which is an awesome microscopic creature that's indestructible. It's a water bearer. That's work of enunciation. Okay, so here's the deal. And Aquariuses are all about to like throw up their thumbs up emojis or their however you want to agree, because I don't want to tell you guys how to do anything because you're about freedom. So you emoji how you want to emoji. The reason they do is that they pour out their emotions. And if they bottle up, they explode. No, I read this. I read so much. I read it.
You go first. Go ahead. They pour out their emotions.
They have to pour out their emotions. They're pouring out their intellect and their emotions, and they're the sign of technology.
Are they?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes. Somebody said this little zigzag was electricity. I think that's, considering the age of astrology, I was like, okay. Internet, I don't know, but you know.
I'll tell you what I heard at the next break.
Okay, you tell me what you heard at the next break. And I'm going to show you the lid trick.
Okay.
So I don't always have a good time drawing circles, my friends. And so what I do is this is the top of a domino sugar lid. It is, I'll tell you the diameter so that you can kind of do this for yourself at home. This is a 6-inch diameter lid, technologically here.
All right.
I'm going to use the credit color chalk pencil. You could use a watercolor pencil, and you could use just chalk for a chalkboard. And I'm going to come in, and I'm going to use this circle to kind of give, look at me being all crazy messy, a little bit of moon guidance, because I need a little bit of moon guidance so my moon doesn't look non-crescent-y. All right, I'm going to come here. I like to have at least an inch over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it tapers in. It's going to taper in as well.
Ah.
I'm going to use my ruler again, and it's actually going to help me do the pot. But wait, what if you don't draw? Don't panic. I have a traceable for free on the website and a video on how to use it. So if drawing is not your friend, but you showed up because you're like, this is my month, and I've had a hard year, and I need to paint this so that I remember who I am, and the gnome speaks to my spirit, don't let the drawing be the barrier. We have the resource and tool for you, and you'll be fine. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of come in and try to draw my pouring out water-bearing jug, right?
Mhm.
Which is super essential. So I use this to help me keep the pot from going just all wrong on me. Right?
All right.
Now I'm going to draw a little circle. This is literally how I did it the first time, too.
Yeah, I remember.
And going to give myself a little spout coming out, as you do. All right, now it's got two little handles on the sides, but we're going to have to paint over everything. So you can put them here so you know where they are, but chances are you'll be painting them partially out.
Every
What? Every what?
Every teapot needs a spout.
Every teapot needs a spout. I'm going to give him a little nose, as I do. My gnomes typically don't have eyes or visible hands.
You don't see them.
You just don't see them. I said visible. They have them.
Visible.
They're just not visible. They're magical creatures.
Well, they're not invisible. They're just not seen. They're like under the hat.
I am shortening some of my moon. I just need room for my star signs, which are not going into the moon, right? So look, better. I've learned. Because I think on the mermaid, I had a cracked Death Star moon going because you could see the stars inside the moon. I mean, it's a mermaid, but I love that's what everybody got upset about. The stars wouldn't go there, but the mermaid, we've got no problem with.
Right.
That's very accurate, and I agree with that wholly. But the star thing, that's where I have a problem, says the internet. So
right.
I hear you, internet.
Science is clearly our strong suit.
So that's his little hat that's blowing off into the distance. The stars, I got one star up here and another one down here. The one in between these kind of comes in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little bit of an inward. Then down here, there's another star. There's this one that's down from that. Right? That's what we're doing. Then it goes 1, 2, 3. Guide your ship by these stars. I wouldn't. But this is what I'm doing. So I go down here, and then it kind of comes up, and then up and over. So we go down, and somehow to somebody this looked like a water bearer. So this is what I never get about the star signs is I look at the constellations and I feel like I have imagination, but I feel like they took a lot of liberty and then went, what?
Well, it's interesting. These constellations,
Mm-hmm.
So the stars actually have no relationship to each other. It's very rare that a constellation of stars have any relationship to each other. Like, as an example, in Orion's belt, the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters.
Right.
We collect them as they're an anthropomorphized group of people, the Seven Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
They happen to be a cluster of stars. These stars, they don't have anything to do with it. They're just like scattered throughout the universe. We only see them together because of our perspective.
I really didn't know where you were going. I was like letting this one just roll out. I didn't know where you were going, and I was just like, where is he going? Somewhere.
The stars don't have any relationship to each other other than our perspective on them, which is interesting.
So his little beard blows out. There's a lot of blowy. Okay, so we're going to make a little bit of his little gnome robes. Gnomies have robes. My gnomies all have robes.
I like the robes, though.
Give them a little gnome robe. And then this was the part that I really liked, was the flow of the water. So I brought it out from the line, and I bent it out this way, came back, and like that. So it gives a nice energetic flow.
The water is an important part of these guys.
Of this particular sign?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's huge.
It's a huge part.
It's a huge part. There you go. And then I felt like it really balanced out to have a couple drops, a couple of places in two sizes. Mm-hmm. So that is how you sketch in your Celestino.
Sketched.
His star gnome is sketched in. John's going to take a picture of that because next is step 3. Look at us going along. One hoot day, hanging out together, chilling. It's earlier in the day, so some of our viewers from different parts of the globe can come see an astrology gnome get painted. So, but hey, next month, at least you know there's an early live class you can catch. Watch for it coming up on the channel and in the newsletter so you can bookmark it. If you want to be notified, subscribe and hit the bell. Because if you don't hit the bell, YouTube won't tell you. Sometimes it won't even tell you if you hit the bell. If you hit the bell and you never come to my channel, YouTube will say, they didn't mean the bell.
Mm-hmm.
They just belled because she said bell, but they didn't mean the bell. And so then they're like, we unsub you. And you're like, you come back and you're like, why'd you unsub me? And I'm like, I don't have that power.
So you thought my whole thing on the stars was just a random thing, though.
Yes.
It actually is a reason for that.
Well, I'm going to load up white on my brush and begin by painting my moon white so that my yellow shows.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell me while I paint this whole moon white, why?
Well, this sign, this Aquarius sign, dates back for us back to Babylonian astronomy.
Really?
Yeah. And actually, we're not the only culture that shares this water sign. Egyptians had one similar, and then Greeks and Romans, they all definitely had those, and that's how we kind of got to our sign of it. But even loosely, cultures around the world have had a similar relationship to this water sign in the sky.
I wonder how the internet will change it because this is one of the most searched terms. Astrology. Mm-hmm. Is one of the most searched things on the internet. It rivals the other search topic that I'm not going to mention because we're a family-friendly show. But y'all know what I mean.
So yeah, there's a lot. A lot of folks had this, but a lot of them were also afraid of this sign because it was the bearer of water and floods. Because it was in that early springtime. When the Nile flooded and a lot of the rivers, in Europe flooded, so because
this is a 1/2-inch angle brush, you could use a bright or another style of round. I'm just painting it in.
I was just like,
No, I just wanted to let them know.
You asked me.
I did, and I meant to ask you. That wasn't an accidental ask. I meant to ask you.
I don't want to like.
No, I just realized I didn't tell anybody what the brush is.
Normally I should ask that.
Well, you were explaining where it came from, and I liked that. And I didn't want to stop you from doing that. Because we're learning something. We're like Vsauce here.
I don't
Not
know
really.
about that. I feel like I think that we're more like, I don't know, some other sauce.
Some other sauce?
I don't know.
Some other sauce that is not from the V?
I don't know.
Not as good?
I don't have a sauce analogy. I'm not saucy today.
Well,
So why are you painting?
I'm just going to clean up my little chalk line here. So
how come you did paint all that white?
Well, here's the thing. This one I do because the beginners that paint with me at home might be painting, maybe you got a kit of paint for Christmas or you just went and bought a set. And sometimes those more budget sets, the pigment on the paint isn't very good. And the yellow is especially the worst. So by painting this moon white, drying it, and then painting it yellow, even if you have that paint, you're still going to get a good result.
Ooh, that makes more sense. I thought you were
I'm
just killing time.
I'm going to dry it now, too.
I thought you were just killing time so I could talk.
No, really not.
Had a purpose.
Well, actually,
What are you mmming?
I'll still dry it, and then I'll do his beard and stuff, and
okay.
It'll be fine.
All right. So while she's doing that, I'll say, yeah. Don't forget, I have a cool graphic. Watch this. Ooh, subscribe now. It's got a cute gnome. I thought that was cool. So I'll put that up there. Don't forget to do that. Don't forget. Oh, see? She's back too fast. I can't say anything else.
I'm back. I'll get a round now. I'm going to get a round brush. I'm going to get a round.
Round brush?
Yeah, I'll get one of my rounds. This is a number 4 round in my Art Sherpa line. You could use any number 4 round. Doesn't need to be this one. I like this one, and I do recommend it, but it's not required. I'm so good at pushing my stuff. You can get it if you want, if it appeals to you. It's all good. Okay, so we're making a light gray. I like to have a kind of light gray basis for the gnome's beard. So since we've got kind of our white out and we're letting some things dry, why not take a minute and paint that in, right? Sometimes in painting, it's about having a strategy of like what you're using when.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a beard strategy?
I have a beard strategy. All my gnomes have a beard strategy. I even have a Santa gnome and Elvesy gnomes. I have a lot of gnomes. There's a gnome playlist of all the gnome videos.
I think that there's an army of gnomes coming.
There's a lot of gnomes coming. There's so many gnomes. What are you going to gnome about, right? It's nothing to write gnome about.
So what happens? What do you call 3 or more gnomes?
What do you call 3 or more gnomes?
A pallet of gnomes.
A what?
A pallet.
A pallet of gnomes?
It's a pallet of gnomes.
That's awesome. Did you just make that up, though?
I did.
Okay. It felt kind of made up, but, you know.
It's true.
Who can tell anymore?
It's true in our world.
All right. So there's a light gray beard. And while we have this out, I am going to go ahead and get some white paint just on the tip of my brush. And I'm going to dot here. Make a dot. Make a small dot. Make another dot. These can dry for a minute. This is just white still. And I'll keep this on the tip of my brush. You could just use any detail brush that gives you good control.
So the little stars there.
Yeah, we're just going to star them there. That way I have a chance to dry.
So I'm going to read you a little thing while you're...
You can totally read me a little thing while I'm making stars.
So Chef Chrono says, Sherpa, thank you for doing these videos. My wife and I paint one of your videos once a week together.
Aww.
And even though they're not as good, we still have fun trying. Most of all, it gives us time together.
Oh, you just made my day. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I love hearing your creative stories, and I love hearing how you guys like get together and do family paint-alongs using Skype if you're across the country. And that was before social distancing. Mm-hmm. People were doing that. I love to hear when couples are painting together and families are coming and friends are coming back together and parties and stuff. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, we love it when you gather together and paint the art. It is awesome. Now, if you want to do that for money, like you want to charge people because you're a teacher, guess what? Go check out my labs thing. Yeah. You can do that too. But if you're just doing it with your friends and family, just do it. Just do that. It's okay.
Are you on another step?
I'm about to be, yes.
Are you stepping up?
I'm stepping up. You got to photograph it. Oh, wait, no. Yes, yeah. Yes. Yes.
You're the one who knows, not me.
Yes. Sometimes what I'm thinking about is the mini book that comes out 7 to 10 days after. It's a written out step-by-step chapter that you can print out. You can find that on TheArtSherpa.com. Generally, if you go into our videos, each video has its own page, and you can search our website using keywords, and you can open that up. And on that web page, like if you go to the Star Gnome web page and you open it up, you'll find a traceable. You'll find a reference that you can print out. As soon as the mini book is done, that file will be put in there. If you sign up for our newsletter, we'll tell you that a mini book came out. And if you follow me on social media, like especially Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, I'll let you know when one comes out as well. Mm-hmm. There we go. Doesn't that look wonderful?
It does.
It does. Ooh, you look. I threw off your switching. I did. Well, let's paint the moon yellow. Shall we? That's pretty straightforward, it would seem. I'm going to take a little bit of white and yellow, but mostly yellow.
Okay, I was going to ask you. So why do you add white to the yellow?
Because the yellow is, one, a little bit too bright, too saturated, and two, white helps the pigmentation of the yellow.
Because you also painted underneath the yellow white.
Yep. But look how bright it is now.
It is. It's much, I would have thought it would turn green.
Well, if I had just done the yellow over the blue and the yellow was very transparent, so to the point where it was a glaze, it would have turned green because yellow and blue make green. Call me on your millionaire thing. You know what? I'll be your phone a friend if you're going to be on Millionaire and you need somebody for art questions. You call me.
Just not spelling.
Yeah, don't call me for spelling. You're going to lose. or punctuation. As I say, download my mini book. I have people who check it for spelling. So
it's a picture book. It's a picture book.
Stuff is written out. And also it can be kind of nice because it tells you what brushes I used each step. Like I'm using a 1/2 angle right now. It tells you what colors I used each step and what I did in the step, plus gives you a picture.
And it gives you pictures of the mixes and the brushes and all sorts of other cool stuff.
Plus extra messaging for me, which can be very, very nice, right?
I like it.
I also like it.
Plus, this one you get a your Gnome Logical reading.
You do. I did a gnomological reading, so if you need to know your gnomoscope for this month, if you need to know your gnomoscope, it's there.
Are you a gnomologist?
I am not. I'm not good at astrology, but I'm pretty okay at gnomology.
Gnomology.
So, and I do research on it, so I mean, I put effort into it. And honestly, we got some good feedback. People were like, "Oh my gosh, that's like literally what I'm going through." There was a study actually done on astrology, and while it said there was no scientific evidence for astrology to work, that they did find people who read their horoscope felt entertained, and they felt better and more in control of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And they felt hurt. So I was like, well, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, while this is having a dry, as is like to, let's add some white to the beard.
The beard.
Let's add white to his beard. We're just going to load up white. And we're going to come here. And we let some of the grays show through. That gives our beardy, gnomey beard some texture and personality, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to come around from the far side of the nose and then pull it in. So in this, something like this, right here, I'm on the toe of the brush. The line and flow actually does help make the beard look better.
It really does.
If you really like this, I've got a great Valentine's gnome. He's the love gnome. And a vintage Valentine's truck coming up. So that are in the same kind of hoot range. Same hoots. St. Patrick's Day gnome. He's lucky.
You've done a few gnomes.
I've done a few. See how I'm curving this line? I'm on the toe of the brush, just like letting that create the form and flow of hair. As I come here and can brush this down. This is a good time, too, to come up on the tip of the brush, maybe, and make those little dashes between stars like you have.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Those things.
I'm always bummed when I look up in the sky and don't see the connecting dots.
Connecting dots are what make it, right?
You gotta see them with your mind's eye.
Gotta see them with your mind's eye.
Or have a really cool telescope with like AR functions.
Now, while I'm here, I'm going to take a little bit of my white and blue and some yellow together and make a kind of nice light color.
You made it a little greenish.
A little bit greenish. And we're going to go around and start talking about a little bit of glow around some of these stars. Because some of them twinkle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm adding water to improve flow.
Heather's birthday's next week. She's like,
Happy
I am an
birthday.
Aquarius.
Are you an Aquarius? Well, thank you. Aquariuses work hard for the rest of us. Did you know Edison was Aquarius?
Thomas Edison?
Mm-hmm. And that like tied into the electricity thing that I found. I don't know how much the internet was reaching, but
surprisingly, in all the history textbooks, his astrological sign was left out.
Scientists are maybe not as fond.
I just one of those facts they may have overlooked.
That they overlooked?
So
there we go. Now I'm going to come back later and I'm going to use a really cool thing. It's
where'd you go?
I'm going to use this later when I go to Twinkle the Stars, but you can use craft paint when we get to that step. So when I go to this, you can just use whatever fluid white paint you have. So if you've got like a bottle of Deco, that will be fine. This is what I'm using, but they both will work for this. Let's call this a step.
Do you?
I'm going to call it a step.
So this will be step 5?
Mm-hmm. Let me step 5. Are we on 5? Really?
Unless I got it wrong.
If you did, they're going to tell you. Aquarians don't make mistakes. Don was like, it's a mistake. I was like, Aquarians don't make mistakes. Okay. So now we've got a little bit of his nose to put in. We've got his hat to put in and his robe. And we've got the flower pot. Let's put in his hat and robe.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it's nice to start with just a little purple and a smidge of white. Pretty dark. But if you don't add a smidge of white to Dioxazine Purple, it is not even going to show.
Oh.
It is a very dark color, not almost black.
Really is.
Almost black. So it's important to start out with just a little bit of white on there so that you can see that it's purple, not black. Deep purple, deep, deep celestial purple, which, by the way, guess what?
What?
The Aquarian stone is amethyst.
Is it?
Uh-huh. So it's got amethyst.
It's purpley.
Purpley.
Now, what sign are you?
I am a Cancer.
So we have
Can't
a little
you
bit
tell? It's best sign. Best sign. It's my favorite sign. I always like to read my chart. It's always stuff like, you love family. Your home is important to you. You're doing work for other. It's like the same every month. It's like, good, 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 good. Little trouble. Good, good, good. My dad was Pisces. He changed his astrological sign on the Great Convergence because he felt like he never got a good reading in the newspaper. But honestly, where I grew up in San Diego, the person who did the local newspaper astrology was like mad at Pisces or something. Because like everyone would be like pretty good and then Pisces would be like, and all things are terrible for you. So I think it may have been like an almost an Ion San Diego kind of problem.
Huh.
But my dad, sick of it, decided during the great alignment and convergence to change his sign because he was like, I need a better astrological sign.
I would do it too. See,
He was kidding though, because
I have to admit though, I know more about the celestial movements than I do about the human definitions of why.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like, I studied astronomy, but not astrology.
All right. So see this very deep purple on the hat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some white. I'll get some white while this is still sort of wet. And the movement here is like an up and down with this round brush. See, I'm going up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a kind of irregular pattern, but it also helps blend when you're not used to blending a smooth blend.
Susan says her husband is a Cancer, and Cancers are wonderful people.
We just are. We just are. We just love everybody. We love our home, and we like live in our little shell. This is very good. Thank you so much. I agree. We are a handful if you act evil, though. We're not fun when you're being evil. We thwart the evil.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, like, I couldn't even tell you what what defines my sign, but I will say that their branding
you're
going to
learn when it's your month, but Capricorn is at the end of our journey.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to like totally give John like tons and tons of grief.
I mean, but the branding seems accurate so far.
So far, you feel like, well, I feel like the nomascopes are their own special animal there, like much more likely to be accurate for artists and creatives, right? Mm-hmm. So again, dark purple with a little bit of white, and let's come in and talk about our robies. All right, we're going to do our robies.
Yeah.
Come around our pot, as you do.
That's interesting. The air sign with the water again.
Well, yeah, because emotions are fluid.
Or it floods in the spring.
Or it floods in the spring.
Yeah.
You seem to have like an agenda here, so I'll let you go.
No,
just
no,
kidding.
I'm just saying.
He does not have an agenda. I don't feel like he has an agenda. And honestly, the way things have been lately, I'm even sorry I used the word agenda. It's become kind of a scary word lately.
I know. Nobody here has an agenda except to teach art.
Yeah, that's like my whole
Our
agenda.
Yeah. Mix paint. Watch people paint. Help people paint. That's it.
And apparently protection of manatees. So that's where I'm at.
Mild gnoming.
Mild gnoming. There we go. We're just making sure a little bit of the, his robe would show through, right? His robe would be there. Oh.
I was trying to track you and you confused me by pointing.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm used to tracking your right hand, and then when you go to do something with your left hand, I'm always like, you had something to say with the hand that was out of view.
I do, but you don't know what it is.
They'll never know.
You don't know me.
It was lost to the switcher, eaten by it.
Lost to the switcher. Ah, that which is lost to the switcher shall remain in the switcher.
Pretty much it. Into the belly.
Into the belly of the beast it goes. That's almost a shanty song there.
They're popular.
They're very popular shanty songs.
If you came up with your own streaming shanty song, I think you'd be in it.
I think it would just Sherpa shanties. Oh my gosh. If you think of a Sherpa shanty, please share it in the comments. I will be so pleased to read it. I'm adding some more white to my purple, and I genuinely mean that.
And then if
if you do a Sherpa shanty, that's like Sherpa themed, but it's a shanty that we can sing, and I might sing it on the show.
We'll see if we can.
I don't know if that's a threat or a promise. I'm not really sure. We're doing the same sort of little tapping and blending. There's a highlight coming up on the top of this wrinkle on the robe. And then we'll come over here and do another little highlight on the top of the wrinkle of the robe. Mm-hmm. Doing that same tap blend. See how we're going? Okay, you go. I'm just explaining to them what they were doing. But go back to what you're saying because it was funny.
I don't know. What was I saying?
I don't know. You're funny.
I am not.
Along
just
there.
Hanging
out.
But there was some questions, I think.
Get those questions and let's answer them because we teach art here. So what you're going to notice is that there's a highlight at the top of the ruffle and a shadow at the base, and that's what kind of forms the shape and flow of the robe. This also sort of is the beginning first introduction about how you paint folded fabrics.
I don't always do shout outs, but when I do, it's to moms and kids. Shout out to Mom. Hi, Betty. Because, if your mom's tuning in, I think it's good that you're painting with your mom.
I think that's wonderful that you're painting with your mom.
And if you're not painting with your mom now has leverage that you have to paint with her.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Let's continue to highlight this. All right, so I'm just adding more white and doing this little tapping stroke. Okay. Just a little bit of a tap. And a little bit of a tap, 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 tap. And I can come back with some purple, some just dark purple, and clean up any of the lines, see, that I want to clean up. Isn't that amazing how that works?
It is.
There we go. I really like it. That's that step. Wasn't that a wonderful experience?
That was a good step. So I guess
you have painted a basic fabric fold. And so if this is your first painting, go, I did so good. Go, I did it. I painted a fabric fold. All right, we're going to photograph that. Photographing. Woo, woo.
but it's maybe lost either.
Yeah, I like to heckle him when he's off microphone because he can't heckle back. He's heckle trapped.
See, I don't have a wireless, and because I never thought I would have to leave my chair. And then I made the mistake of giving her the wireless. What I needed to do is make sure she's wired and I have the wireless.
Well, we actually tried that. I'm taking a little bit of white and taking it over to my pink and making a bright pink. The reason that I'm not wired is that I have a tendency to walk away from the canvas and like knock myself clean off my feet. While funny, not safe.
No. I have lost so many XLR cables that way.
So many.
I have a box
The decisions were made.
Wireless. It's good technology.
To protect the studio. I'm going to get a lot more white on here, make kind of a bright pink. Let's come to the front of the nose. Where we kind of shadow a little bit of a brighter pink. Rinse out.
Yep.
And we're going to put in the pot. Now, the basis of the pot is going to be that we're going to make an orange. And we're going to use that to lighten our brown. And then we're also going to make a brown and black to create the shadow. So those are our two ranges of colors. So if you don't remember, and it's okay if you don't, I'm going to get fresh water. And here's why I'm getting fresh water. So you see how this is very purple?
Hold on a second.
This is very, very purple. And purple and yellow are complementary colors, and they gray each other out. So I know I've got orange in here, and I know the orange will get grayed by the purple, so might as well get cleaner water. That's why. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and my red, and I'm going to make an orange. Isn't that lovely? Making the orange, so. Let's start painting our pot.
This is just a single color background.
No. We've got a little bit to do.
I mean, for the pot, you're just getting a base color on it?
Nope. We're going to do a little bit of value changes as we go.
Oh.
So don't paint it all in. Right now, we're just painting the top of the pot with our orange.
You're painting right over the chalk, though.
Huh?
You're painting right over the chalk.
You can paint right over your chalk. You absolutely can. That's why we use chalk.
There's no special kind of chalk?
Well, it is in that it's truly chalk. There's no oil pastel in here. This is white pastel credit color pencil or white chalk, as you can see right there. You can use kids' chalk from a chalkboard.
Okay.
I'm going to get a little more brown on here. Make sure that the mouth of my pot is kind of rounded. Now, as I go through, I'll add a little more brown. See how I went from this light color into a little more brown? Mm-hmm. And that way I can come right here while everything is still wet. Kind of blend.
And that makes sort of the shadow underneath it?
We're going to make the shadow underneath it. Keep going. And then as I come down, I'm going to add a little black into my brown. This is the first coat. It takes a couple coats to do the pot to get it to look really terracotta-y.
Oh.
I mean, I could have faked it because on camera it'll look really good. But I find that that does not benefit the student, so I don't do it. Benefits the video, but not the student.
There's ways you can cut off time when shooting a video that don't help you learn.
Yes. So I don't do it.
Because, yeah, there's certainly studio tricks.
There really are. All right. So I'm going to come here and you see there's a little shadow going there.
Is that
now,
still
also,
wet?
while we're here, all these sides are still wet to each other. I'm going to get a lot more black onto here, and we're going to come here and add our handles.
Okay.
So I kind of went up and made a little hook.
Now,
and you're going to make them a little matching hook down here.
If you were not as brave as you,
mm-hmm.
could is this like you could sketch that in with chalk first?
Yes, you could absolutely sketch this in with chalk first. You can come back and use your chalk anytime as long as your paint is dry. Right? So now I want to dry that a little bit. And there's 2 ways I can do that, but I'm going to do the direct one, which is hair dryer.
Where you go?
Yes, that was my plan. That was my plan.
You said there's 2 ways.
There are.
I didn't know.
Paint another area of the canvas and allow it to dry, or to dry it with a hair dryer.
Okay, yeah.
But because I'm teaching you in steps and stages, I don't want to compound too many of these on the one hoot lesson. So we're going to just go through each little area as we do.
All right.
But just so you know, if you didn't have a hair dryer and you wanted to let it dry, you would just paint the water.
Okay. I guess my method was not as approved. Oh well. So if you know, you can do this with a hair dryer just on low heat. That's a big thing. So you don't like my method?
No, I love it. I love it. I love you. I love your I love you. It's all good. Let's make a bright orange. All right, we're going to come here and we're going to start with this part of the pot right here, kind of at the belly of it. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I'm going to take a little of that red and orange over again into my brown. Look at that now. It's terracotting it up.
Mm-hmm.
Terracotta is one of my favorite things to paint. And this is why. And I'm still doing that same sort of blending technique where the paints are wet and I'm kind of tapping and making my brush making a regular shape. You can always go back into your light color if you need to blend again where the 2 edges are wet. See how we do?
Yep.
You're just trying to create a diffused sense of reflection. I can come into my black and brown. And just continue to paint that area. Now on the neck, there's a couple interesting things that happen, and I'll show you how we get there. First, let's get this dark value in. Leave a little bit of light value there.
Just get your...
Just having fun, right?
The terracotta has got your full attention.
The terracotta has my attention. It should have your attention too. If you're painting at home and you're crossing you have your tongue sort of sticking out of your mouth and you're looking focused, that's the right place to be. That's how it should be.
That's the appropriate terracotta focus.
That's the appropriate terracotta focus.
Gotcha.
Brow furrowed. Ready to do it. All right, I'm adding a bit of a highlight right here. Blending those in, and that is how we get that.
You have a very pretty collection of browns there.
I do. It's a very pretty collection of browns. And I might do one more little thing here, which I'm going to take my orange and kind of get into my brown and just make sure that this lip is.
Did you lighten it with orange?
Yes, you lighten it with orange. Lighten it with orange. Varieties of orange. Orangey orange, darky orange. Now, I do see where like the hot is sort of off center. So you can always come in and make it symmetrical if it gets off on you. I'm just showing you this. When I have weird boo-boos on my paintings, I try to show you guys how I fix them. So if you have something similar at home, you know how to do it.
What would happen if you made a mistake and lightened it with white instead of orange?
You could allow it to dry. You could decide, hey, that's okay if I do that. Huh. It is perfectly fine to highlight it that way. And we do have a light highlight that is coming on a little bit later, so it won't hurt your terracotta pot at all. Like I'll show you. Like I'll just here. Let's take a little bit of our. See how there was the yellow and white, and we got into the orange.
Yeah.
Right, and say we came into that. I might make it a little more yellow. You can do that. It's not going to hurt it. Doesn't hurt it.
Interesting.
It does not hurt it at all. So be okay with that. It's not hurt. Pot's still good.
pot's still
The thing
dark.
is, you just want a light area here that comes down into a dark area, and you want the pot to be symmetrical.
It
This
really-
is a step.
It got so dimensional on you.
It got dimensional. But dimensionality seems like something you can't do when you're new to painting, but you can. You can do this. You absolutely can do this. I'm not having you on. You can do this. The thing about you guys as new artists, if you're a young artist, right, little brushes, if you are a young child or if you're brand new to painting, the number one thing I'm going to ask you to do is not get mad at yourself and not look for all the mistakes. In fact, I'm going to challenge you to try to look for the areas that you did a good job. Beginners are very capable of seeing errors that they've made. It's very hard for them to see what they've done well.
Yeah.
All right. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to just take a second and grab a little bit of black paint. This is sort of a weird detail bit, but let's come here and I'm going to kind of come under the hat. This is a weird detail, I know, but it does make a difference. And I'm going to very carefully come under the nose.
The lining really does make everything pop.
Yeah, and it's going to help that show. So you do want that. It's worth doing. I think I'm going to grab, maybe I'll do my angle brush just because it's bigger. And I want to use a whole bunch of brushes. And we're going to make the water that goes over the moon and out of the pot. So I'm going to take my Phthalo Blue and my Phthalo Green and mix 1 part green and 1 part blue. And then a little white, not too much, because the first layer is dark. And come on my edge and bring it down. I'm going to paint right over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since the paint is streaky, which means I haven't like mixed it so thoroughly that there's no streakiness to it, I'm definitely going to want to kind of do my brush strokes in the directionality of the water.
Now, you seem to be performing some sort of painting gymnastics. Could you rotate the surface to do that?
You could absolutely rotate the surface to do this. And I would highly suggest that you do. My painting gymnastics aside, I highly suggest that you do.
You're trying to get that direction of brush flow there, though.
I'm really trying to hit the direction of brush flow and have a little bit of an already sort of implied streak. We're going to go over it with some very important highlights and stuff, but that is now this here. I'm going to come down on the toe of this brush. You could use a round if you don't have one of these brushes, or a bright, which is a square brush, flat. Honestly, the brushes, I tell you my brushes, and some brushes do help, but unlike one-stroke painting where the brush is very essential to the result, in just traditional acrylic painting, not as much. I'm going to rinse this out a bit, and I just used a bigger brush so that it was going to take a long time to do it with the smaller brush. I'm going to add a bit of a neat little water drop that comes off. There you go.
You're adding a lot of dimensionality just by that subtle shading.
It does. And those are the little things that you don't know when you're new. How the layers play together and how the shading plays together is very, very important. Now, I have to dry this, right, to be able to do the next part. It doesn't need to be too fully dry, but it needs to be dry enough that the paint can go over the top.
All right. It's just a little bit of it. So that's maybe just enough time that I could get up here. Let me see if I can find the button before she gets back. No, I couldn't get to it.
Couldn't get to what?
The button.
The what button?
I had a button to push, but I couldn't get to it in time.
Are we doing okay on steps? We haven't lost our steps, have we?
Not until you asked. Asked.
All right. I'm going to add some white into my blue. Notice that's very loosely mixed.
All right.
I'm going to come out of the pot. I've turned the canvas, and we're going to brush down. It is okay that this is called dry brushing. It starts out with a pretty thick application of paint, but as the stroke finishes, the paint starts skipping over the surface. That is a good thing, and you want that.
Ooh.
I'm not covering every part of the water.
Is it okay that you got all that paint on there?
Yeah, you want that. You want it.
It kind of makes it look like it's dimensional water.
Right. And not only that, it really helps it to be fun. Now, coming through the drop here, I want to use kind of a light blue, and I'll come back. You can get a little more green into it if you need to. I even got some yellow into it at one point. See how we're doing? Water is a lot of fun to paint, be it the ocean or an astrological sign pouring his heart out. Little bits of Scoopies. And we also want a bit of Scoopy here. A little bit there. Those are nice, right? Come in with much more white paint. Now, this is almost pure white. I'm very light on top of the surface.
Very thick.
And yeah, I'm just bringing it right there. Pure paint. See how we do?
How thick can you go before it gets in trouble?
Well, to be real honest, with a good heavy-bodied acrylic paint, as thick as you choose to go. It's not that restrictive, to be honest. I'm going to get a little bit of this on my toe here. I'm going to come on the outside. This is a little bit more flowy. I'm going to add a little highlight in the center of the drop. Come down on the edge here. And a little highlight in the center of the drop. I also think a little highlight in the center of the drop here is kind of a good idea. So we're going to come here with a little. Just painting that down. That's that step. We did it.
Step.
We painted the water coming out. And let me show you something just real quick. Before everything is dry, remember that you can come back with, like, say, your aqua, just in case you lose too much of your dark water. Look how we do.
Ooh, you just added some more dimension.
You can keep doing that. So I just want you to realize that you're not stuck or trapped or anything into any part of the painting. You have control all the way through in every way. All right. John's going to get this step. I don't know. Is step 8? Really? This makes me nervous because in some videos we get the steps really wrong. We timestamp them all very accurately. The mini book is very accurate, but sometimes in the video it can be, well, nobody said on Cancer that counting was our main priority or skill. All right, now the rest of this I like to do with my fluid paint and a detail brush. All right, so I like to do all the rest with that fluid paint. You can see how it's a little bit different than my other paint, and I'm going to get a really good detail brush. Now, this is a #1 monogram liner, but what you're looking for is your finest hairline brush that you have. Right, and the first thing that I'm going to do is load just the tip of my brush up, and we're going to make the little zigzags. Mm-hmm. I'm going to come there and zig, and then down. If this were American Gods on Showtime, Wednesday would be like, yay! Paint that gnome! There we go. So we got our little zigzags. I'm also going to take a little bit of this and go make a little reflection on my nose. I find that I very much enjoy dots. These are as if stars were present. That's what I'm feeling. While we're waiting, I'm going to just real quick redot some of these.
Oh, yeah, make them a little stronger.
Yeah. And also, it'll give it a chance to dry a bit.
Mm.
And I can kind of connect these a little as well. And then that can have a second to dry.
Yeah. Little dots. I like the hat.
I felt like it was like stars kind of coming off the hat into the constellation. And, you know, if there's stars on the hat, there has to be stars on the robe, in my opinion.
They must match.
I also feel that it's a small thing that you can do, but it'll have a big impact on your painting is a little bit of highlight on the pot.
Oh, yeah.
See how I add those little dash lines there? And perhaps a little dash line here. You can come across the top. Right, creating little reflections which speak to the shape of what it is and help define it and really pull it together and make it feel super good. Now I'm going to dry this because I've got to come through. Now I have to use a ruler. My hand is not steady enough to do twinkles, but I'll show you the twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Twinkle. Okay, so we find the button now. Psh, there it is. Subscribe button. That was what I was trying to find earlier. It's not a huge surprise, but I wanted to say thank you guys, and please do subscribe. That way we can let you know to join us on these. I don't know what she's looking for now. Did you lose something?
Looking to see if I had a shorter ruler, but I'm just going to use my T-square.
Shorter ruler?
Yeah, I'm going to use my T-square. It'll be fine.
All right.
So I'm going to come here and using my T-square to help me create straight lines, I'm going to do short. These are shorter than the vertical short sidebars. Right. This one will have some sidebars. You have to go down from the top to the bottom, otherwise I'll be dragging through paint all the time. And these three, these coming down, they twinkle. They're the twinklers. Not everyone is a twinkler. These are the twinklers. I got a little buildup of paint because I do this so much. Scrape it off. Load up again and hit that last one for its twinkle. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. These are short twinkles that come out the sides. Now we dry.
Okay.
And then we're going to do the verticals, which are longer. And then we do the little side star little twinkles to twinkle it out.
All right.
All right. You guys good?
We're ready.
Okay.
Yep. We're just going to make sure you get that thoroughly dry between there. And that's so that when you go through, you don't pick up any of the other paint underneath it accidentally and drag it and make little smears and things like that. So just make sure you get thoroughly dry.
Thoroughly dry.
Thoroughly
dry. This is also that good stage where you kind of go through and you're like, oh, do I like the part of the painting or how it came out? And you kind of work that out.
Adjust.
All right. So this one's going to be a little bit more challenging, but we'll see how we do. Come here. These are longer twinkles. See how much longer that is? I'm going to come back and twinkle this guy, and I'm going to dry and then twinkle the other two. Because they're all so close to each other, there's no way to not over drag twinkles. So I'm going to dry and then twinkle.
Dry twinkle, dry
and
twinkle.
Then side twinkle.
All right.
Radial twinkle.
To twinkle. You've been detwinkled.
Did I pop a thing?
I don't know. What'd you do?
I just pushing the wrong buttons, I think. Nope.
Maybe. Oh, the buttons. The buttons. So just make sure you get the dry, and that should be okay.
failed at turning on the hairdryer.
It's just the buttons.
It's just the buttons.
They were in the wrong place.
They were in the wrong place. The buttons were wrong. It's all their fault.
They should reorient.
They totally should. So the point of this is that your vertical twinkles are longer than your side twinkles. They're not the same length.
You have to...
See how we made them longer?
Oh, that does.
It does. It does a nice thing.
It gives a very mid-century modern feel to it.
It does.
Oh. That makes them fancy sparkles.
Fancy sparkles. It is definitely its own challenge. Notice that I'm resting my pinky. See, I don't know if John can capture the positioning of my hand.
Yep.
So I have to steady my hand with my pinky. And it's just something I want to let you know is happening. So it doesn't seem like what I'm doing is somehow magically stable. It's pinky stable. It's not magic, it is pinky. There you go, twinkly twinkle. That is the Aquarius star sign there that is going on.
Ooh. It's all in disco.
It is perhaps all in disco, that is true.
That's all right. I'm a fan of disco. May four on the floor never die.
I don't think it will. I think disco will always have advocates for it. All right, so
I think that's it.
I think we have decided.
This is a pretty good gnome.
It's a pretty good gnome.
That gnome showed his gnomeness.
That gnome did show his gnomeness.
Oh, you're already down there signing. I was taking a look.
Well, we'll go out on the look, guys. I cannot wait to see. Like, even if you're here for just the gnomes, right? That's okay. But if you're a completionist,
there may be more.
There may be more. If you're a completionist, I'm a completionist.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, goodness gracious. That is our Aquarius star gnome for our gnomology series.
That was great.
Yeah. I loved it.
I'm really happy with this. This guy turned out fantastic.
He's super duper cute. Next month is so cute.
Yeah?
So cute.
You raised the cuteness?
I raised the cuteness.
All right.
I raised the cuteness. So, and Pisces needs that. Because, come on. I'm going to throw you guys a love bone. I really am. Because as a Cancer, Pisces, strong place in my heart. World is crazy.
It is.
But art is always fun. So it's a great place to come and bring yourself and enjoy and smile. Be with your friends. Be with your family. Connect. Even if it's digital over social distancing. I want to thank every Aquarius for your time, your energy, and your particular star shine for this gnome. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I want to see you and an easel really soon. Bye-bye.